Hello out there, and today we are going to be doing a collection video for my Spyderco knives as the collection stands today. And I really wanted to do this video not just to share my collection with all of you, which I'm really happy to do, but also because 2016 has just been a very hectic year for me in terms of buying and selling knives. And, I've sold more this year than I ever have in the past, and I bought more, I think, than I ever have in the past. So I wanted to just make a video about my Spydercos just to catalog what I had at this point in time. So it's something I can look back on and, see what I moved and what I kept. So I'm doing this with the Spydercos today. I think I'm definitely going to do it with the Benchmades in the near future and maybe another one before the year's out. But some of these knives you might recognize from my other videos if you've been watching those. Some of them you might not. So any questions about those or, anything that you'd like to see more of, let me know in the comments down below, as I definitely would like to hear about that. And even if it's not something I make a video on, I'd be more than happy to talk about it with you in the comments. I will link to some of those other videos in the description as well, so just keep an eye out for that if you're interested. But I'm going to put the camera down now and sort of just start talking about them one by one and giving you a little bit of background on each knife and how it fits in my collection. All right, so we're going to start with this one. This is the Ambitious from the Tenacious line. It is the smallest of those knives. You can see that there is a tiger stripe acid etch, and that makes this blade special to me because it is the first knife that I ever put that kind of acid etch on. So it's never leaving my collection. This is going to be my knife, I think, for forever, hopefully for forever. And it just has a special place in my heart because of all the time and effort that went into figuring out how to do this. So the other thing that's really great about this knife is, even though it's the smallest of the Tenacious line, it is probably the most stout because it has these really nice thick liners despite how much smaller it is. So it is the most overbuilt of the line, I think, and just really like this knife overall. All right, so moving on, we have the Spyderco Dragonfly in H1 steel. All right, so this is the salt version. It is supposed to be completely rust and corrosion proof, and the H1 steel has pretty much lived up to that. No issues at all with the hardware. I've used this and just carried it in the ocean, left it out after having it in the ocean, and no big issues except for right there in the middle where the H1 stamp is. You can see there was a little bit of rust. So I'm not sure if that laser etch opened up the pores of the steel or something, or if it's just a topical rust from that laser etch. I don't know, but no issues anywhere else. So there's that. But overall, just a very neat, light EDC knife. They do have it in other versions, but this is the really light version with no liners. I think there's a G10 one out there as well, though. The next one is the universally loved and adored Delica 4. And, what can you say about this knife? It's just a great EDC at a very reasonable price. All right, I love the fact that, you can get it in a bunch of different colors. I know that's a very trivial thing to think about, but when so many knives are in black, black or gray, the fact that you have choices here, really adds a little bit of color and flair to the collection. I like that aspect of it. I picked my favorite color, purple. It's not my favorite color, purple. I like a little bit darker, but this definitely works. It's different, and obviously when we're talking about the knife, it's just a very, very perfectly functional EDC style blade. Great shape for utilitarian tasks. Locks up great. No issues whatsoever with this knife. All right, so definitely recommended that. The next one is another great EDC along the same lines, the Centofanti 3. All right, Centofanti 3 compares really favorably to the Delica in a lot of ways. Same kind of lightness, great ergonomically. The blade shape is a little bit different, but also great for EDC tasks. A little bit of better point because of the swedge. A little bit of a spear point look to it. Great thumb ramp here. Love the Centofanti 3. The big drawback to that is that there is no adjustable pivot screw on this knife. It is a pin together construction. So, it's pinned together very well, so no issues with it in terms of the build and the quality, but can't really take it apart. So there's that. All right, moving on. We have the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 in the S110V and the dark blue or blurple scales. There's a lot of hate going on for the blurple. Some people like it. Some people really don't like it. I'm one of those people who just absolutely loves it. All right, I love this color. I wanted to paint my house in blurple. I think it's great. I would never change these scales. I would never put like custom scales on this knife. You know, that said, no real need to functionally, because the grip on the G10 is excellent. All right, really nice functionality on the G10. S110V just holds an edge for forever. It's really just great with edge retention and actually all aspects of the steel so far. I mean, I use this knife pretty regularly in EDC. Love it a lot. It's silky smooth. You can see it just swing down. So great piece, and it's one of those that if you don't own a Paramilitary 2, once you hold one in your hands, whether it's this version or the regular S30V version, you know, you're going to want to keep it. It's just that good. So, yeah, Paramilitary 2. All right, next is the Persistence, and this is the middle of the road line in the Spyderco Tenacious line. Middle of the road meaning like between the Ambitious and the Tenacious in size. You know, mine is modified also with an acid etch, and this is one of the first acid etches I've ever done, so it was more experimental than anything. You can see a little crisscross design there on that side that goes over to the other side of the blade. It came out pretty well, and you know, I really wasn't worried about the result. I was just trying to see, you know, how the acid would work on the blade. And yeah, I enjoy the results though. It's good for a EDC kind of beater knife. Other thing I did to this blade, you can see I put in a glow-in-the-dark backspacer. First experience with glow-in-the-dark stuff. It's really the only one that I have, and I just wanted to see what it was like. It's pretty gimmicky, to be honest with you. More of a novelty than anything else, but the backspacer has good texture to it. And you want to know what? Like, yeah, what's the problem? A little bit of glow-in-the-dark doesn't really hurt anybody. So, yeah, that's that. All right, and then the last one in the first column is the Des Horn. This is a gentleman's folder, S30V blade steel, and it is a discontinued model. I can see why they discontinued it because it's definitely not for everybody, but what I love about it, a couple things. One, that it is a gentleman's folder, but it has a very aggressive tip. You know, and also when you look at it from a distance, you can see that, you know, it's shaped the same way front to back. So, I mean, that's a pretty neat little look to it. You know, and it's got these lines that start on the blade that go all the way down the handle, sort of connect there. And it was also a gift from my wife, so really neat piece to have in the collection. Very lightweight. Great gentleman's piece. All right, so that's the first column. So just quick review. All right, and we're going to move on to this column right now. So putting the camera back down. And we will continue with this knife, the Junior. And this is one that I've talked a lot about recently, compared it to the Ouroboros. I've been carrying this one a whole lot recently, and I just like it more and more and more. I love how broad the blade is shaped and how functional that is just for so many tasks. You know, the unique shape of the handle makes it really ergonomic, but sturdy as well. Really liking this knife a lot. Wish they would bring it back in more high-end materials for sure. Maybe one day from Spyderco, who knows. All right, and then next is the Ouroboros. I compared this one with the Junior in a video that I'll link to down below. This one definitely isn't a perfect knife, but it's just so unique aesthetically and very comfortable in the hand that I still really enjoy having it in my collection. You know, what is there to say about it? It's definitely a divisive model, but, you know, one that, like I said, I still like a lot. You know, it's not going to get every job that you need done, but it's a cool little EDC knife and lightweight. And, yeah, there's not really another thing like it in my collection across the board, so definitely good to have. All right, and then the next knife we're going to stop for a quick minute and maybe talk about at length for a hot minute, because this Native 5 is one of my absolutely most used knives across the board. Definitely the Spyderco that I carry the most, and one of the knives I carry more than any other one in my entire collection. And that is because I used to own the Native 4, and then they came out with the Native 5, and every single thing that I thought they needed to improve, they did. All right, they just understood what needed to be tweaked. And this is a old and classic and just like loved knife by a lot of people. And they tweaked a few things at Spyderco and just made it an absolute classic. Right, so we have a much better blade shape, I think, with like a more full flat grind here. And then finally, we have an adjustable pivot screw instead of the pin together construction, which I love. And then the pocket clip is a huge improvement as well from the old models. The S35VN, not going to complain about that, but that wasn't necessary. I was fine with the S30V. All the other changes just made it like an absolute home run in my book. And I love this knife. Carry it all the time. Feels great in the hand. Extremely light, extremely strong. Just a wonderful piece to have and one of my favorite parts of my collection. All right, and then next we have the Bird Raven 2. This is one that I've also talked about in the past, just a heavy-duty folder, one that I use for the outdoors. Like having this knife. I like being able to beat this knife up and how the CTS BD1 just continues to resharpen really well. This is the knife that kicked the Tenacious out of my collection, and the Tenacious is a very good knife. So anytime you can say that about a knife, you know that it's definitely doing the job for you, and that's what this does. All right, next we have the Mannix 2 in CTS BD1 as well. All right, so it is in BD1 blade steel. Again, just a really nice knife steel that sharpens well and maintains its edge pretty well also. I don't usually carry this knife because it's a little bit big for my liking, but recently I've been trying to carry it more, and it's actually working out really well for me. Ergonomically, for a knife that is so lightweight like this and essentially a plastic scale, it is one of the most comfortable knives I've ever held in my hand because of all the different grip options that you have. You can choke down, regular grip, choke up, choke way up. There's jimping that is just fantastic up here. And then the plastic jimping is very useful. Just every aspect of the grip of this knife is on point, and it's light, just overall a blade that I'm thrilled to have at a very affordable price as well. All right, last two, and this is the knife that launched my YouTube channel. This is the Sage 5. All right, first video I ever made was about this knife, and I love it. I love this knife. This knife has done everything for me that I wanted it to and more. It has lived up to all the hype. And how often can you say that about a knife, that it comes out with, as much hype as this has, and it's just lived up to every bit of it, in my opinion. The carbon fiber and the compression lock, as smooth as it is, and the blade steel, S30V, fit and finish, no issues with this knife whatsoever. Love every second that I've carried it. All right, if I were gonna make a top 5 knife acquisitions of the year, this would definitely be on the list, and we would be pretty darn close to the top. Actually, you want to know what? I might do that. I might make a list of the top 5 acquisitions of the year, and if I do, like I said, this one will definitely be on there. All right, and now we are finishing the video, last but certainly not least, with another Paramilitary 2. This is the Blade HQ limited edition exclusive Paramilitary 2 in CPM M4 with jade green translucent G10 scales. All right, this is one of those knives that I was waiting to come out. I was waiting for it to come out, and when it popped up, I thought about it and said, heck, why not? Let's get this knife. And I ordered it, and about 5 minutes later, it was sold out. And it's just one that I don't have any urge to sell, and I don't really carry, but I love having it around. I use it around the house a little bit. Really, really love M4. M4 is just a fantastic steel. And, if the S110V holds its edge really well, this is almost on another level. So, no complaints about this knife at all. Not sure if this will stay in the collection forever or not. Most of the other knives I'm pretty sure are going to be entrenched there for a while. This one might end up going at some point, but for now, I just really like that it's a unique and limited piece to what I think is a pretty functional collection. So, overall, guys, that is the end of the collection. That's everything that I've got right now. So again, any questions, comments, complaints, suggestions, make sure you hit me up in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you. I'm always happy to hear from you. But most of all, thanks for watching. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to talking with you all again soon. Take care.